Hey everyone, it's Trader Rob. Today is Sunday, June 14th. Hope everybody's been having a fantastic weekend. Mine's been actually pretty super busy here. Well, if you guys, hopefully you guys watched the video that I posted Friday after what I would consider to be just two absolute solid, really good weeks of trading. The order entry, the areas that I've been trying to spot, the risk to reward, all my metrics have just been absolutely fantastic in June. And then if you didn't watch the video I posted on Friday, had just a complete disaster of a trade. After the live stream, I was on with my Signal members. We trade a little bit extended beforehand and after on the YouTube stream. And I found price action went into an area where I had some seller unbalanced volume, got a nice order confirmation, just a really nice entry. The second I hit the short button to go short on the position on the NQ, headline came out and it was just an absolute. It was about 150 point candle. I think we measured it at about, I think it was 5 to 6 seconds for that to happen. And all the funded accounts took a huge hit, actually pretty much wiped away June's profits. So kind of back to square one here for June, just on one extremely unfortunate timing on one of my trades. And but again, it's part of trading. If you haven't watched that video, I think there's some good not really good lessons, because again, there's not much I can do in that scenario. You find yourself, you're set up, you get your order confirmation, you take the trade, and that's what I ended up doing. Unfortunately, my timing was just a bit awful, and it cost me about 76 points. But the beautiful thing about the high risk, or I should say low risk, high reward style of trading, especially with my footprint confirmations, and if you don't know what I'm talking about with my footprint confirmations, highly encourage you to watch the stream. There is some really good content in there. I teach the entry confirmation in my volume masterclass on how to use the footprints, how I use them, which is extremely simplified, but extremely effective. And I just know that I'm now 2 or 3 good trades away from getting back those profits, which is, again, is the beautiful thing about, the high risk to reward scenarios that we're playing out here. But with that being said, it's not all gloom and doom over the weekend. Friday kind of stinked. You kind of have the whole weekend here to kind of stew over, what had happened. But I would say through midday Saturday, I was just so busy into work and busy into my daughter's got a softball tournament this weekend, and my focus kind of shifted, and I'm over it. So tomorrow we'll be able to come back into the markets. I anticipate the same type of high volatility. We've already started to see some headlines that we might be seeing some type of resolution in Iran. Again, we've been told that many times. But there's always that possibility, and I know that now all too well. So with that being said, let's see how the weekly bands, how the tradable levels held up throughout last week, and we'll get into our new bands, our new roadmap for the ES and the NQ for this coming week, and let's get into it. As always, nothing that I state on my channel is financial advice. Trading futures or any type of trading is risky business. Any capital that is out there is at risk for loss. All right, so my weekly band and tradable level video came out here on the 7th, Sunday, June 7th, so right around here. And we've obviously had price action just been absolutely bonkers. Probably for the last 4 or 5 weeks, but over these last 2 weeks have just been pretty damn crazy. Super high ATR. Super high volatility, huge swings up, down. It wasn't necessarily a predominantly uptrend, wasn't necessarily a predominantly downtrend. We would seem to be ripping 800 points. We'd retrace the 800 points. So it was a lot of up and down. But I'd say the ES did fairly well. If we take a look at the ES, gave you guys a tradable level here at the 74.99. I don't believe we tapped into that one, but gave you a tradable level at the 73.20, a weekly band here at the 72.41 to the 71.99. That one we did tap into. And then we've got some key levels sitting above us. This key level at the 75.58 and the 7600. When I say key level, they're scalpable levels. And we've got obviously a weekly band sitting with seller unbalanced volume at the 75.78 to the 75.45. Now, if we follow price action, it wasn't until Tuesday that we finally dipped into the 73.20. There was a good amount of consolidation. I would say about 5 points right in front of our level. Never really tapped in there. Kind of kept missing our level here by 3 or 4 points. Again, we finally got a headline that took the market down about 100 points in a very, very small amount of time here on the ES. And then we almost came and tapped into our weekly level right here, but we did not. We missed it here. So if we kind of keep going forward on price action, here is when we finally dipped right here. We finally dipped into this weekly band. I believe this was on Wednesday. And that was just the absolute pivot in the ES, was this weekly band that I gave you guys. Again, I tell you, you should typically be trading this on a 2-to-1 at minimum on your risk to reward. This ended up being, I think, over 200 points here on the ES to the upside. So I can get rid of this guy. I'll get rid of this guy. We never tapped into the 74.99, so that is a tradable level that is still sitting up here. You've got another tradable level, like I said, at the 75.58 and the 7600. And most importantly, we have this weekly band here sitting at the 75.78 to the 75.45. Now, as far as some new weekly bands, let's get into those first. The first band is going to sit at the 75. Oh, no, it's going to be a little lower. 73.22. To the 72.71. Again, that's the 73.22 to the 72.71 right here. And if you can tell, this is a little bit above where our last weekly band was at. This is now encapsulating all of the unbalanced volume that we created out of this move from that weekly band. So nice little weekly band sitting right here. As far as some levels for us, we've got a level at the 70. We've got that one guy mapped out. We've just got one here at the 72. Let's put this to default. Coordinates are going to be 72.89. 72.89. And again, this one is sitting now in this weekly band. We're sitting right here in the weekly band. These are awesome. Okay, these are great levels to trade off. All of these levels, all these tradable levels are going to be great. But the ones that are inside of the weekly bands, even stronger. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. NQ is a little bit more difficult, but let's follow some price action here. Now, I will say a few things on the weekly bands here for the NQ. If you guys are trading with any type of order flow, any, bookmap level 2 data, it depends on what your trading style is and how you are going about your trades. You will have obviously noticed that during the New York session, we've actually seen we've actually seen much less volume intraday. So that and the reason is when you start to see very little volume, the moves just become that much more explosive. Okay, there's less liquidity that's in the market. Market makers really do not like the price action that we've been in for the last couple of weeks. When you get, for instance, the trade that that knocked me out. None of my stops triggered, pretty much jumped over all my stops on that 150 point ripper to the upside. Remember, on that trade that I lost, I think it was like 60 or 70 points, I had a 10-point stop. None of that was respected. So, when you get those type of rips, market makers typically pull out of the market, let price action or let price kind of find some type of equilibrium, and then they will come back into reintroduce liquidity back into the market. And but during those rips to the upside, a lot of inefficiency, very little volume, and when you have that, the unbalanced volume in nature, it becomes a little bit more difficult to respect. So take that for kind of what it's worth here. My video came out again on the 7th. My first level I gave you guys was the 2908. You can see right here we had a perfect reaction to the downside off of that level for about 150 points from this area to this area right here. Very nice. We then, of course, got, this was the evening, we got a huge move to the upside. Again, swiped pretty much through our daily bands. I'm on the 15-minute. I'm sure if I could drop down to the 5-minute, we'll probably see some price action, kind of going in and out of this band. But for the most part, this band here did not hold up. But the tradable level here at the 2908 did fantastic right here. We then came right up. We came right back down. We retested that level, and then we got a nice movement to the upside. Now we come here. This was Monday morning, right at around, right before the market open here. Came in. At least we did respect this weekly band a little bit more. Probably only good for about 50 points to the downside. Nothing huge. Again, not the greatest. This was pretty much about 30 minutes before market open here. Again, level here at the 29,456 really didn't hold up very well. So that would have been kind of a nasty one. Let's kind of follow price action. Then we finally dipped into this weekly band that I had for you guys at the 29,874 to the 29,802. It's very clear to see, nice little reaction in here, huge wick to the downside, and that move was massive. It was just an absolute massive move right off of this weekly band. So I would say this band right here really didn't do us much good. This band did all right. The tradable levels did all right. But overall, I'd still say, a kind of a tough one here to trade over the week. So with that being said, let's map out our new weekly bands. Let's get rid of all of this that we've already consumed. That leaves us fresh here. We've got a band sitting above us at the 30,602 to the 30,530. We've got still a tradable level sitting up here at the 30,582. And again, if you're looking to, if you'd like, every single Sunday, I send out an email report with all of my bands, all of my tradable levels. It's a nice email format. You can plot them on your chart. Super easy. Just visit my website, which is www.robstrades.com. And right on the homepage, it'll just ask you for your name and your email, and you'll be on that list of over 2,500 traders. All right, let's reset this chart view here. Now let's start here. What do we got? First one is going to be 3,100. Should be somewhere right around here. First one's going to sit at the 3,100 to the 29,997. Again, that's going to be the 30,100 to the 29,997. Okay, sitting above where price action's currently at. Next tradable level, next weekly band, I'm sorry, is at the 29,490 to the 29,408. Again, that's the 29,490 to the 29,408. Okay, that's our second weekly band, sitting below where price action's currently at. And our third and final band is going to be sitting at the 29,029 to the 28,959. Again, that's the 29,029 to the 28,959. Okay. So these are our new weekly bands for this week. Now let's plot out some tradable levels. Got a few of them. We'll start with this first one here at the 33.41. Again, 33.41. Okay, again, we're above where price action's currently sitting at. Next tradable level is going to be at the 29,495. 29,495. Okay, sitting right above this weekly band here. Nice level right here. Next tradable level will be at the 29,180. 29,180. And our last tradable level is going to sit at the 28,509. 28,509. Right smackaroonie right there. All right, so here's some things, guys, that you need to be aware of. Before I talk about the Sunday Open, I want to talk about the upcoming futures rollover. So we should be expecting futures contracts to be to roll over to our new contract sometime this week. Could happen Monday, could happen Tuesday, could happen Wednesday, somewhere in the ballpark. Just take a look. I use Bar Chart. It's a website called Bar Chart, and I go in and I track the open interest on the ES and the NQ, and then you just want to see how June's contract is comparing to August's contract, which is our next contract that we'll be trading here. And once you see that the August contract starts to see more open interest and more volume than June's, that's when you know that you should be switching over to the next contract. Not financial advice, but again, that's just a good rule of thumb, is looking at the volume. Now, when we do roll over, okay, then this is kind of the crappy part of this rollover, which is what I really don't like, is that these tradable levels and these bands, my signals, they all get reset, okay, because the two contracts will not match up perfectly. Not so bad for the weekly bands, but for the tradable levels, my signals, those get reset, and you'll notice why you start comparing the two charts, and they'll start looking different. And then for the first few days, when people start rolling over, you will start to see kind of like a hybrid of volume, where some people are trading on one contract, another group is trading on a different contract, and the volumes really don't start to mesh up very well. Very, very tricky time to trade. I've always said this as kind of as a joke, but not really. It's a great week and a half to take off if you want. I mean, this is just let the volume really blend in, and start to trade after about a week of the rollover. That's just, I've even told my wife, I'm like, if we plan some vacations, we plan them around contract rollover. So that's the roadmap that I got for you guys on the NQ and the ES. Like I said, the last 2 weeks in my opinion. I've just been trading really, really well. You know, the losses don't bother me. The loss on Friday obviously bothered me because it was out of my control. It was extremely bad timing. But I also feel that the market has a way of balancing itself out. So for every kind of crappy decision or crappy mistake or crappy timing that you get, typically the market will reward you in one other way to kind of balance the things out. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be extremely careful with the Sunday open here. Be very careful with volatility. Again, you would not be looking to short these just yet, or I'm sorry, long these just yet. Wait for the gap. The gap might even happen right here. We might gap into here, okay? But if we gap somewhere in this area, then yes, this is an area we can long from. This is an area we can short from. So just be very cautious and understanding of the Sunday open and the volatility that we might see tonight. All right, take care, guys. Happy trading.